Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Patriots Den. I'm your host, Patrick Pruden. I'm here with who?
Brian Fuentes.
Brian Fuentes, the amazing co-host. Look, folks, I hope you have all had an amazing week. I hope you're staying cool. Last week it was I hope you're staying warm. This week is I hope you're staying cool because Texas is doing what Texas does best.
You can say that, but today was actually pretty nice weather. Ignoring the fog and, if you had to drive somewhere, it was not very nice. But overall, it was a good day today. It was 11 degrees colder today than it was yesterday, which puts us right in that sweet spot of, 60-something?
Because yesterday I was burning. I couldn't do it. It was hot. And it caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting the weather to just
switch on us that quickly.
Switch on us.
That's what the
I
rain's
went from
for.
sleeping with a heater on at night to now sleeping with a fan. There was one night where I had the heater and fan on at the same time because I didn't know which one to do. I was like, we'll just do both of them on, and whichever one, overpowers the other, that tells me which one not to use.
Exactly.
There it is. Right? Folks, we got a show for you today because America has been busy. America has been busy. Kash Patel confirmed FBI director. How about it? RFK confirmed for, HHS. Was there who else was it?
I do remember Kash Patel also got confirmed for ATF director as well.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah. The dual assignment. Oh, Dan Bongino, deputy director. I would assume that's what the title is.
I believe so, for the FBI.
Deputy director of the FBI. That's a big one. Trump had his first cabinet meeting. So that happened. Trump met with Emmanuel Macron of France, talking about Ukraine, Russia, the loans, all that happened. But that's not what we're going to really dive into today. Let's talk about what we're going to dive into today, folks. The Epstein files. The Epstein files are going to come out today. The flight list is supposed to come out today, according to Attorney General Pam Bondi. Brian, what do you think about it?
First of all, no warm-up. Right into the big topic like that, huh?
Yeah, right in. Well, because there's some other stuff that's going to make me, go, what?
Man, that's saying something if we start off with Epstein. Yeah, but no, hey, I'm all for it, all that transparency to see who was really on these flights. No more speculation, no more fake, lists. I'm hoping the government doesn't do anything with that list, but you can only hope, You saw what happened with JFK. And they keep saying they're going to release documents, and they either delay it or redact it to the point where it's not useful.
Right.
So I'm hoping this is the exception and we actually get to see some names on there because unfortunately, a lot of these people who are on that list are alive currently. So it's very likely a lot of these names are going to be redacted, at least if I had a bet on it.
Absolutely. Pam Bondi said, prepare to be disgusted. I say, Pam Bondi, just release it. Don't tell us we know what we know. We know what the flight list means. So go ahead and release it. Kash Patel said that on day one this stuff would be released. It wasn't on day one. We had to wait a little bit. We're tired of waiting. Go ahead and release it. Show the people what truly is happening, what's truly going on. We want to know. And so, when you get into the whole Epstein thing of, and him and Jelani Maxwell, who Jelani Maxwell is still alive. Jeffrey Epstein, suicide watch, but yet he still somehow took his own life,
With a bed sheet, that was paper
thin. With a paper thin bed sheet, folks. So,
don't forget his cellmate was also removed for some reason.
Right, no cellmate.
Guards were asleep.
No
one was doing rotation on it. Camera footage for some reason shut off during the time he did it as well. It was an interesting situation.
Yeah. You can't get more, coincidentally,
man, what
than
a
that.
Lucky, unlucky man.
Right. Just so happens, the moment you're about to do something that is going to change the course of a groundbreaking case, nothing works. So what do you think we can expect from these files?
Well, it's like I said earlier, unfortunately, I'm a pessimist on this one, which is a rare thing. Usually I'm the optimist, but
right.
I think in the situation we're not going to see very big things. They might give out names that we already knew existed, but it coming out from the government, I doubt they're going to release the connection to Bill Clinton. That's the one everyone knows. It's the open secret. Bill Clinton was very close to Jeffrey Epstein. But, he's still an ex-president, and I doubt the FBI would, release the files with his information along with it. But hey, if Clinton's on it, I think everything else is fair game.
Yeah.
That's my rule. Because he's alive, he's an ex-president, he's still involved in politics, or at least his wife is. So if his name is on that list when it gets released, then hey, I have expectations that most people will be on that list. That would be on that list, like no redactions or anything. Yeah. But if you don't see a Clinton, you're not seeing the full list. That's my final 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that if Pam Bondi is, releases this list as she's hyping it up to be, then there should be no redactions. Don't hide anything. If you're gonna release it with redactions, don't release it at all. What's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point of releasing a redacted list? So let's do no redactions. Just release it to the public, raw and uncut, like we the people want to see, because we've been asking for answers for this for a very long time.
Exactly.
Right? The Jelani Maxwell case went absolutely nowhere. Where's the journal? It disappeared. No one knows anything about it. It's not talked about. So why is it that we see these things happen, they sweep it under the rug, and they try to act like, no, that never happened. That was never an event, right? And they try to make it a figment of your imagination.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's inconvenient to them. It makes too many questions get raised about the establishment and the connections to, dirty people like this. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you can see why they're trying to sweep it under the rug. I mean, frankly, I haven't heard anything about these being dropped either. The only reason I know is because I have friends who are very well informed who let me know, to keep me updated. But frankly, I don't think most people the average American doesn't really know that these are about to get dropped. And I think that's the unfortunate reality, that something this big, this groundbreaking, is probably going to be heard by a loud minority, but at the end of the day, the majority won't really hear about it, or even worse, read it themselves.
Absolutely. We're sitting in a situation where the media won't cover it. No one wants to talk about it. And so when you're faced with something like that, where you ask, why won't the media cover it? Why won't, CNN, MSNBC come out and say, hey, Attorney General Pam Bondi said she's releasing the Epstein files. Whether you agree with her or not, why won't you just break the news to the people that this is what's about to happen? Because I think that people on the left and the right would agree. We want answers to what happened to those children.
Yeah. I mean, it's a messy situation. Too many people are involved that are in high places, and that's, unfortunately, it's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Such people in high places are probably still in government today, still in positions of power. And, well, if they want to have any public reputation, they want that list to be either redacted or not released at all.
Yeah. That's going to be the question that we get answered is, does money truly just buy you out of this?
Yeah.
Does power truly just buy you out of this? Go ahead.
I mean, I'm hoping the answer is no. I mean, there are limits to how much money can do. I mean, you saw this with our good friend Diddy.
Right.
He had all the money, all the fame, but hey, he's still in jail. I mean, same with a lot of other people. So, I mean, what's his name? Weinstein, I believe. Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein, yeah.
Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein himself too. He was a billionaire and he still got arrested.
Yeah.
Like, no, money in theory is not an excuse, but at the same time, I'm just hoping it's not a situation where they're sacrificing one of their own to save the rest of them.
Right.
Which could also be a very big possibility where the list is released, but it's all names that are either dead or people that aren't really a part of the elite and are just pretty much being thrown out there to save the rest of them.
Names that you're going to look at and be like, who? I've never heard of that person.
Because what's stopping them from releasing part of the list and saying that's a full list without redactions? Like, the real list is 10 pages long. They just release 2 pages without redactions and say this is the whole list.
Yeah.
And then we would be none the wiser.
Yeah. But I'm hoping that Pam Bondi, the Trump administration, the Trump DOJ, will have the transparency with the people. We run off this idea of promises made, promises kept. Well, the promise was made to give us the full Epstein files. Will that promise be kept?
I hope so. I mean, he has very little to lose at this point. He is on his last term.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's the thing they say. Most presidents are a lot more radical their second term. You saw this with Obama. You saw this with other presidents across history.
Yeah.
Because at that point, they don't have to worry about re-election. They can just push all the agenda they want. They can push the stuff they've been wanting to do since day one. Trump had to act like a moderate his first term. Unfortunately, that might have been the reason why he didn't get much done. If you want to ignore the whole stonewalling that we saw in Congress and the Senate from, those never MAGA Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being the case, I do think a lot will change this administration.
Yeah.
Just because there's no threat of re-election, no threat of impeachment, nothing like that could really threaten his presidency. So I'm just hoping he commits to it. He commits to America first and the people first.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with someone last night. They were looking at a Trump Vance sign, and they were like, what made him switch his VP picks? What made him choose Vance? And what's so different about this Trump than 2016 Trump? I said 2016 Trump was a rookie.
Yeah.
In 2016, Trump surrounded himself with the old guard to help him pick a vice president, to help him pick his cabinet picks. And that's why he had so many firings.
Yeah.
Because these were not people that he would have ever hired. These are people that were recommended to him by the old guard of people that have been in politics with the money, with the influence, with the fame that are going to be on this list. Trump now, he understands the game a little bit more. And so he didn't need the old guard to tell him who to pick for vice president. That's why he went and got J.D. Vance to go against that system. That's why he's picked people like Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, RFK, Pete Hegseth to crash against the foundations of the old guard and what it means to be in politics.
Yeah, it's a new coalition, We're moving away from the neocons and the reactionaries and more, or not reactionaries, but I'll just say old guard, like you said, the old Republican Party moving towards a new coalition. All of these people are what you would consider old Democrats, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr.
Right.
And, I'm genuinely interested. Trump has been a lot more pro-union than any Republican president has been in recent history. Mm-hmm. And it's not in the way that you would expect. It's the American workers first, not unions first.
Right.
Which allows there to be, that independence from being a union puppet while also supporting the workers. And I think that's a very, frankly, good thing that Trump's doing. You can't bring industry back to the U.S. without protecting its workers. And I think that's a thing a lot of people miss out on. The fact that he's trying to bring industry back and also make it so the American workers that work in these industries are well maintained.
Yeah. Yet Trump, I got to give it to him. He's done his job at caring for the American people. Not caring for the old guard, not caring what the Washington elites have to say, but just doing what needs to get done for the average American. For, like you said, the worker.
Yeah.
The working class family. Trump is taking care of that. Trump is the president for the working class family, and he's shifting the culture. When you think of working class families and you think of what party they belong to, at one point it used to be the Democrats. Right now we're looking and we're saying, wait a minute, the working class family, the working class people voted Republican.
Yep.
And they voted Republican heavily, so much so that the Democrats didn't have a glimpse of what a win would feel like or what a win would look like. They never saw it happen on election night because the working class people finally rejected the wokeism of the Democrats.
Yeah, and well, you really do see that, push towards helping the middle and lower classes under Trump. One of his big campaign promises, no more tax on tips.
Right.
You got some news for us, Mr. Prudhomme?
I do. The House passed a budget that still has to go to the Senate for passing, but the budget includes the no tax on tips and no tax on overtime.
I saw it passing because it's a no-brainer. You're pretty much voting against the lower middle classes at that point because these kinds of jobs that rely on tips are usually either teenagers looking for a summer job or, people who are in college or, trying to get an in-between job while they look for a better one. Mm-hmm. I myself worked as a server when I was in high school. It was a experience. I don't have many complaints about it. It was a experience. Thankfully, I had good managers. I had a great work environment, and the pay was, garbage. I got paid like $1 an hour, but hey, tips made up for it. So, I just wish Trump was in office back then, so I would have not have to pay taxes on those tips. Because think about it, if I get paid $1 an hour and I make $18 an hour in tips, that's amazing because I don't have to pay taxes on $18 an hour pay.
Right.
And well, it looks like the American people, not me, unfortunately, will be getting all that.
Right, and not only is it no tax, not only does it say no tax on tips, it also says no tax on overtime pay.
And that's beautiful because that's for everyone at that point.
Yeah.
No matter what job you have, you do overtime, boom, no taxes on that.
No tax. And this is people, Trump's going to raise the taxes. The man's getting rid of taxes. They're auditing the IRS. The IRS is shutting down buildings left and right because the man is lowering taxes.
Yeah, and this is ironically enough, it's a progressive tax cut. Are you familiar with progressive and regressive economics?
Yes.
So progressive, it's where, it helps out the lower classes, but doesn't help out as much the upper classes. Well, regressive is the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
An example, of regressive tax cut would be, or a tax policy would be taxing gasoline consumption. The rich people who have a lot more money, that it's a lesser percentage of their income spent on gas, while someone who has lower income, it's a larger percentage, which means by extension, they get taxed a bigger percentage of their income. Progressive is the opposite, where, that would be a tax on, I don't know, capital investment, where the average lower class person doesn't have much, while the someone with an upper class, would. In this situation, we see that most people who are upper class don't need overtime or tipping to make their money, while people who are middle class or lower class do. So it's actually a progressive tax cut, which is surprising to see out of a Republican administration. And frankly, I don't see that many people talking about it in that direction, because you always hear this: we need a progressive tax system. We need to tax the rich more, and then Trump gives you that. He gives you a progressive tax cut to help out those who are lower at a disproportionate rate to those who are upper. And, radio silence.
Yeah. You're the finance guy. You're the numbers guy. Can you explain to the people just what this means for the economy when, you take away things like taxes on tips and overtime?
Well, it's very simple. Different economists of different schools have different thoughts on how the money really works. But a general consensus is that if people have the money and they don't have any requirements to save that money, they will go spend it. Mm-hmm. And in this situation, you're just putting more money into the pockets of spenders and consumers, which by extension will grow the economy better than taxing that money.
Right.
Because as we said earlier, our tax dollars are sometimes going to places that really shouldn't be getting our money, which could lead to inefficiencies or bad use of money. But who doesn't know who to use their money? The people.
Exactly.
So by having these tax cuts for the lower classes, you are effectively allowing said lower classes to spend more money now that they have more available. Mm-hmm. Either that means taking their kids out for a nice lunch every now and then, or a nice dinner, going on a nice vacation to, who knows, Disney World or something. But at the end of the day, spending that money within the U.S. Because unfortunately, it is a lot of money being saved, but it's not enough to where you can really move up a social class.
Right.
So yeah, you will be saving more money. You will be spending more money just because you have more money to spend. But it won't be enough to where you're going to be going out of the country to spend it somewhere else or investing it. You could, but the average person won't be doing so.
Right. So would that kind of be like trickle-down economics?
I wouldn't say so. Trickle-down economics isn't based on tax cuts. It's based on the idea that if we allow for wealth creation with the upper classes, eventually that wealth in the upper classes trickles down to the lower classes. Mm. And this is different because instead of having the wealth cuts at the up and have it sprinkle down, it's at the bottom and it actually builds up. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference. With trickle-down economics, I'm not a big fan of it because it is inherent on the idea that rich people spend all the money they have, which you and me know very well is not the case.
Not the case at all.
But whenever people who are in the lower class get money, they don't have as much things to invest in or stow away for. So that money gets spent right away.
Right.
And they spend they don't spend this money on, stupid things or, where that money goes basically poof. They spend it at businesses, corporations, basically right back into the economy, which actually builds up the economy because that money goes back into the rich, back into the business owners. So ironically, yeah, it's a better version of trickle-down economics because it gives the resources to the lower classes and the upper classes get money only if they are contributing to the economy and not being a leech. That's the big difference there.
Interesting. So, I'm glad the House was able to pass this budget. Again, this was a campaign promise that Trump had made from the beginning, the no tax on tips. And after he made that promise, guess who else made that promise? Kamala Harris made that promise. And so to see Trump acting on it.
This quickly, too. 2 months in.
2 months in.
No. A month in. A month and a few days. No, wait.
Yeah, it's a month and a few days.
Yep.
Last show was exactly a month, so we're a month and 7 days.
There we go.
That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. So,
correct me if I'm wrong. Is it just no tax on tips and overtime, or are they adding other stuff to the bill?
I believe there's other stuff as well. It was a budget bill.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff in there that I haven't had the time to just super dive down in on and read because it was just done, I want to say, yesterday. Yesterday it was just done. A lot of states are in session, including the federal government. and trying to get legislation passed. And so I'm proud of the House to be united.
Yeah.
Behind the Republican movement, behind the Republican message that was put together at the GOP convention, and we're moving as one body. Not, the party infighting and all that. No, 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 no. We are united.
Yep.
The Republican Party is united, and I love that for them. I love that you have people like Mike Johnson, who is doing a how do I word this? He's doing a amazing behind the scenes unity cry type message that is keeping everyone walking this line in what is already a super, super tight majority. We're keeping them together. He's got them walking this tight line. You can only hope. You can only hope that the Senate, and I'm not sure if any of you are paying attention, but the Senate with Senate Majority Leader John Thune, with the Lisa Murkowski's, with the Mitch McConnells, with the Susan Collins, can the Senate have that same unity that House Republicans have?
I mean, I wouldn't say always, but I think in this situation, I would say yes, because it is a budget bill.
It's a budget bill.
Unfortunately means there's other things in that bill that might not be as good to talk about, just because, well, they're not as flashy. But that being said, I mean, it is a budget bill. That pretty much is how they dictate how much they're getting paid, how much other employees are getting paid. So I don't see why the Senate would vote no on this, unless they want to make a point about something. But at that point, they're basically risking their jobs, because I do think the media would cover this as no tax on tips bill gets blocked by ex-senator, because that's just such an easy story to run. It's such most people would say, yes, this is a good policy, except for some people. But I mean, those people don't matter.
Right.
If you say no to tax on tips, you're genuinely not a fun person to be around. I'll keep it at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I do think the Senate should pass this, as long as it's not a bloated bill, which is my hope here.
And you have to remember, Trump left a lot of stuff out of the bill. He left a lot of stuff out of the bill just so, it could go through bipartisanly.
Exactly.
That didn't happen. Democrats, wanted to be stubborn. But, Trump left stuff out of the bill just so it could pass.
Yeah.
Just the important stuff was put in just so it could pass.
Meeting in the middle just so there's no excuses. We said, here, we'll take out all our stuff so we can get this first, because this is the most important thing for the American person right now. Each American who is working these kinds of jobs, they need that extra money. So let's, obviously I don't think it can wait, but in this situation, it's just about getting what you can get, If you're arguing to get some gas for your car, you're not going to also ask for it to be clean while you're at it.
Right.
You're going to do that separately, so you don't risk losing the gas. So
exactly.
Same situation here. We're going to try to get that tax cut so you can have that be done, squared away, and then whatever comes next, you do it separately.
Right. So we're just hoping the rhinos put the horns down and fall in line, because it would be life-changing for a waitress to find out your taxes you're not getting taxed on your tips anymore. It'll be life-changing for that blue-collar worker to find out that he's not getting taxed on overtime.
I want you to think about that for college students, by the way.
Go ahead.
You're both college students. You both had to fill out FAFSA to graduate from high school as a Texas student. So whenever you fill it out, you have to put your income in, taxable income, I believe. And, well, guess what? If you're not getting taxed on that income, IRS, do you even report at that point?
No.
Exactly. So in my situation where I was making most of my money from tips, I would go from making $18 an hour, going home with a paycheck of around $1,000 every 2 weeks, to basically walking home with, I don't know, $36, $70 every 2 weeks. Imagine how it's going to look for scholarships, for FAFSA and stuff, dude.
Right.
Oh, wow, this guy is really broke. He only makes $70 a week, working 40, 60 hours,
Yeah.
That's going to be amazing to look at.
Yeah. I'm excited. I think Trump has come up with some amazing ideas. I don't know who the bill writer is or who the content director is, content creators. I don't know who they are, but they're doing an amazing job. But you know who's not doing an amazing job?
I don't know, Pat. Who?
Well, while the federal government and the United States House was passing amazing legislation for no tax on tips or overtime, the Maryland House, the Maryland State House, okay, people, the Baltimore Ravens, Baltimore, Maryland. Is that Maryland?
Baltimore is Maryland. I
Yeah,
believe.
Baltimore, Maryland. So Maryland, the Maryland State House passed legislation to put condoms in vending machines in kindergarten, folks.
I'm sorry. Could you say that again?
The Maryland, let me.
Because I think I heard you about it. Like,
let me fix
so
my mic
absurd.
for the people in the back. Let me fix my mic. The Maryland State House passed legislation which would allow condoms to be put in vending machines in kindergarten, pre-K, kindergarten, secondary school, and high school. Folks, I don't know. I don't.
That's that's speechless right there. I don't know what to say. That's
How do you defend condoms in kindergarten? You
can't.
You can't. And just imagine kindergartners walking to class with their parents. Parents dropping them off at school. Kindergarten goes, "Mommy, what is that?" And now the mom has to say, "Baby, that's a condom."
Oh my God. Have you seen that South Park episode?
No, I'm not.
Yeah. So basically, it's not even funny. South Park did this already. They had these things get brought to these basically elementary school kids. I think the kids in South Park are like in 4th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know what these were used for. So you know what they start using them for? The guys, they pretty much use them so they don't have to use the restroom anymore. So they, the big guy, Eric Cartman, he's like, "Oh, give me a sec." He takes it out. It's like full. He like ties it up and just throws it like a basketball into the garbage can.
The kids don't know what that is. And like I was saying, imagine your little girl in kindergarten asking you, going, "Dad, what is that?" And now you, as an adult, have two options. Either you can just let your kid think that's normal and walk away, or you can give your kid and say, "Hey, look, that's a condom. We don't do that. That's not right. It shouldn't be in here anyway. You're too young. It shouldn't be in here."
To be fair, I mean, I hate to be the to be fair in this situation, but I do think these would be in the men's restrooms.
Kindergarten?
That's the issue. I think the intention with the bill was for the whole public school in general, because not unfortunately, a lot of schools are built like K through 12, like some schools are. And I'm guessing that's what this bill is for. So if there's a K through 12
the bill
school,
specifically mentions kindergarten by name.
and that is, like I said, me personally, I don't think they have a place in high schools, just because it's, like kind of we said earlier, the whole tampon thing. It's
right.
Kids will be kids. There's some people who will take it seriously, but most people are going to play around with it, waste resources, just make a fool out of the school and themselves. And this is just asking for trouble, especially with people this young who don't know what these are needed for. It's, a degradation of morality, waste of tax dollars, and overall, it's just, I think it's probably just a stunt. I'm hoping that's what it is.
And we had the American State House Republicans say, "We tried." I was watching videos of them yelling on the floor, saying, "Guys, this is going to put condoms in the bathroom."
I mean, that's what makes the most sense.
This is going to put condoms in the bathrooms.
Because, like, you've been at gas stations before. Like
okay, so the way it's set up is...
Because if it's a vending machine, that's what makes the most sense.
The vending machines are going to be in the hallways and in the bathrooms. So right now, it's... Let's see if I can pull up the Maryland State House quote for everyone here. Because there was a certain law in Maryland that stopped the selling of contraceptives.
Yeah.
I guess.
That'd be the word.
Okay, here we go, folks. Here we go. Bear with me. Maryland's House of Delegates passed House Bill 380, which will allow contraceptives and contraceptive devices such as condoms to be sold in vending machines at public schools.
Remember, it says sold, so they're gonna have to, like, if they actually go through with this, Imagine like being the treasurer at these like districts, being like, oh yeah, we made this much money from selling contraceptives to children.
Okay, here it is.
Like,
House Bill 380 passed with an 89-41 vote. It proposes repealing a law that makes it illegal to sell contraceptives and contraceptive devices in a vending machine at public schools. This is the current law, right? This is the current law that they're trying to overturn. Listen to this one. A person may not sell or offer for sale a contraceptive or a contraceptive device, whether or not advertised as a prophylactic, by means of a vending machine or other automatic devices at a kindergarten, nursery school, elementary school, or secondary school. The law currently reads, right now, a person who violates this section is guilty of a misdemeanor and on conviction is subject to a fine not exceeding $1,000 for each violation. But then there's the bill that they're trying to pass, which will reverse that. Bill supporters believe it will improve access to contraceptives for teens and allow them to make healthy choices. However, critics have said if it becomes the law, the bill will legalize the sale of condoms at preschools. Because look at the current law.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very clear, very precise. No, it's a no zone.
So Delegate Kathy Sazilga, I've definitely said that name wrong, a Republican, has been very vocal. She was on Fox News. This is where I heard about it. She called it the Condom for Kiddies bill because that's what it is. It's condoms for kiddies.
Epstein's rolling in his grave right now.
Literally. Literally, he was like, where was this kind of access when I was trying to get in? So you're looking at the current law that mentions kindergarten by name. Kindergarten, secondary school, primary school.
That's interesting.
It mentions kindergarten by name and says, hey, look, you can't sell to that. You get convicted. What makes them say, first off, who went in the books and said, you know what, I want to change this? And why?
Yeah.
89-41 was the vote.
Like out of all the things they could have voted on, Maryland, they have a lot of things to work on. It's the
things.
home of Baltimore.
Right.
And this is the most pressing thing.
Right.
They want to further sexualize these public schools.
Right.
Which is what you see. The arguments for sex education and contraceptive access, that's a whole different story. There's arguments for both sides. But at this point, you're just, sexualizing these people at a younger age in the name of, safe sex. I'm like, no, most of these kids shouldn't be knowing what this is until they're, somewhat older.
Right.
Like they told me what this stuff was. At least I think it was sixth grade, I believe. Sixth grade, fourth grade, between those two. And I'm like, I had nothing. Like, what do you do with that information?
Right.
You're just allowing this information to be like out there. These kids, you could say, oh, the internet's going to teach them this stuff. I'm like, okay, that's not the school's place to inform them of this stuff. Right. That's a parent's decision.
Right.
And that's the thing. You just see this, you pretty much taking the innocence away from these kids' childhood more and more.
That's exactly what it is. And my thing is, there's so much, like you said, Maryland has so much to worry about. Here's a fun fact. Did you know that if you go to Maryland and you order the Maryland crab, you're not actually getting Maryland crabs?
Really?
You're getting Louisiana crabs because Louisiana crabs are bigger and they taste better. So what Maryland does is they buy the crabs from Louisiana. They bring them to Maryland, put them in a Maryland pond, and say, okay, now you're a Maryland crab. And then they ship them out to Maryland restaurants to sell them under the name of Maryland crabs. Meanwhile, while you're stealing Louisiana and Texas crabs, how about you make a bill that, takes care of your crabs instead of, putting condoms in kindergarten in vending machines with condoms for kiddies labeled on the top of it. Like, there's just so much that you could be doing. Why is the sexualization of kids so important to the left? And why is it that driving point that they try to do every other week? Every other week, we have had to sit here and talk about the left sexualizing kids.
It's South Park episode at this point, man.
Yeah.
It really is, with how absurd everything's getting.
Yeah.
And I'm just like hoping it becomes normal. Like we go back to being a functioning society where adults actually, do things that make sense and not this right here. Because as you said, there's no reason for this law to specifically say kindergartens and preschools as well.
Yeah.
Elementary schools, like there's zero reason for this to be in these places, these locations. Even if the kids don't use them, they know about them, and guess what? Now they're going to be like, oh, why is this for? Why do we need this? What is it used for? And boom, now you just exposed someone who should have been, waited a few years to learn about this stuff, but no, now they're basically preteens learning about this stuff.
A kindergartner can't use a condom.
Unless, you use in the way they did in South Park. But
Right. You know what they need to put in vending machines, folks? For kindergartners.
What's that, Pat?
Kazoos.
Yeah, I should have seen that one coming.
You should have seen it coming. I don't know why he didn't see it coming. He thought that we were going to go the whole show.
Without a kazoo mention.
I have to do my camera stick.
I disagree. You know what they should put in vending machines across Texas?
Plato, the trial and death of Socrates. I agree.
We need Dallas Cowboy jerseys all across Texas. We need to,
That's enough.
That is America's team.
Folks, we're going to go to commercial break. We'll be we'll be right back. No.
What do you mean no?
I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were saying, if a nuclear bomb went off, there's two things that you can't get rid of. Roaches and Cowboys fans. Okay? You can't get rid of them, so there's no need for us to try to put Cowboys material in vending machines. Even though I would much rather a Cowboys jersey, a Dak Prescott, you can put Jerry Jones bobbleheads in vending machines, and I'll be okay with that before you put condoms in vending machines. To kindergartners?
See, I don't know if the bar is that low or you just, the Cowboys are that good.
I have to do my that odd camera stare. They're like, what does JD Vance do? The JD Vance stare. Because, please, we need some competent governors, because they don't have competent governors. And who was the governor that Trump yelled at about the NCAA rule? Was it? I think it was Maryland.
Makes sense.
I think it was Maryland. Let me look. Let me look this up, folks. This is a quick on the spot.
Oh, but we're on the topic of governors. You heard the news? Trump endorsed Vivek for Ohio's race. Ain't that something?
Oh, it's Maine.
Maine?
Maine. Yeah, we don't care about Maine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trump endorsed Vivek Ramaswamy who is running for governor of the great state of Ohio.
Yep.
The Buckeyes. That's the school, not the state. I'm sorry. My bad.
Might as well be,
Didn't they win the national championship?
Really? I thought wasn't Vanderbilt going up there against them?
No. Vanderbilt did not make it. Absolutely not.
Or was it Georgia?
Georgia didn't. It was Ohio. It was Ohio versus Notre Dame.
That's what it was. It was Notre Dame, not Vanderbilt.
Notre Dame, not Notre Dame. Notre Dame. Notre
So
Dame.
you can do pronunciations for words like that, but you can't do 2 + 2?
4. Is it Porsche or Porsche?
Porsche.
No,
I would say Porsche.
it's Porsche. When you go to the Porsche dealership, they don't say, would you like a Porsche? They say, do you want a Porsche? Get it right. I know my pronunciation.
No, they're just trying to sell you something, They're trying to make it sound better than it actually is.
No. The person
like
that
me
invented
saying,
the car
no.
called
This
it a
is
Porsche.
like me saying finance.
No,
like if I say finance.
it's finance. That's just incorrect. You're just wrong.
Finance.
But you're wrong.
People
It's
say
just
that
but
to
that's
be more
wrong.
fancy. If
But
you ever
that's
catch me saying
wrong.
finance, I want you to like smack me, because that's the wrong way. Same with Porsche. It's pronounced Porsche. Do you ask any average American how it's pronounced? They're going to say Porsche, not Porsche.
I have a question. My last name is Prudhomme. Okay, you see it up there, right? The average American would pronounce that when they see it. A lot of them have say Prudhomme. So is my name Prudhomme or Prudhomme?
Prudhomme.
Oh. It doesn't matter what the average American says. What matters is what it actually is. And the actual pronunciation of it, according to the creator of the car, it is Porsche. When you go to the Porsche dealership, they say, hi, can we get you a Porsche?
They're German.
Is
They
there
have a
certain
dialect.
kind of Porsche you'd like? It was an American dealership. I wasn't in Germany.
Well, guess what? Their name, their cars, they're all German.
Oh man, we're not doing this. We're not doing this.
You're gonna have the German dialect when you get it.
It's called a Porsche.
Porsche.
Okay.
I'm gonna call it a Porsche.
Okay.
And every other normal person will call it a
You
Porsche.
silly American. You silly Americans. You just never learn, though, do you?
You know,
You never learned. do you?
Americans are always right. Frankly, the world eventually the world accepts what we say. That's what I've noticed. And once you do the same, you know, you can enjoy a good Porsche.
Porsche. It's Porsche.
Yeah,
Porsche.
Man, first Plato, now spelling
Porsche.
and pronunciation.
It's Porsche.
Can't wait for next week.
You want to put money on it? That says it's Porsche. Not
I'm
Porsche.
a good Christian boy. I don't do gambling.
That's not gambling. That's just a fair, nice little wager.
Some would argue wagers are gambling.
Okay. Next on the agenda, before I go right off in my Porsche
With your hip right now?
with my hip, me and my hip gonna get in a Porsche and drive off
No, you're gonna drive off the bridge, dog.
with the Porsche. Byron Donalds. You know Byron Donalds.
Of course, who doesn't?
We love Byron Donalds. Byron Donalds went on Fox News and told the peoples of America that he is running for Florida governor. But that's not what we're here to talk about right now. Donald Trump came out and endorsed Byron Donalds to run for Florida governor.
Yeah.
The current governor of Florida is who? Ron DeSanctimonious. Ron DeSantis. He came out and said, no. I want my wife to run. So Byron Donalds, Trump endorsed. Casey DeSantis endorsed. Who you got?
Oh, man. Great state of Florida. Well, that's the issue. I don't know who the people of Florida have more loyalty to. Their governor, who has done a lot of work for them, or the president, who's done a lot of work for them. So,
Who got Ron DeSantis elected?
oh, that's an easy one. The good old Donnie boy.
So why does Ron DeSantis find the need to always slap Trump in the face?
Well, he has no more way. He doesn't have a political pathway anymore with Trump. He kind of burned the bridges during the election.
So why keep burning it? You can always fix it. You know who did fix theirs? Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp and Donald Trump. Horrible relationship. They fixed it.
Well, no offense, but in this situation, it's not the same. Just because of how much Ron DeSantis has done.
No.
I'm saying at this point today.
Ron DeSantis is nothing without Donald Trump. He literally is a walk-around wannabe Donald Trump.
I'm saying after he got what he wanted, he got his governorship, he was able to run for president. He basically kept trying to beat Trump at his own game.
Yeah.
Whenever he has to, he'll bend the knee, but he's done more than Kemp at this point to, not be on Trump's good side.
Right. My thing is,
I mean, and then there's the whole opposing each other in the governor race.
why do you want your wife? So you can stay in power? You're term limited. Go. Move on. Move around. Byron Donalds, business owner, congressman, could be Speaker of the House if he wanted to. That man has done a lot for the movement. He knows policy. He knows what he's talking about. You put Byron Donalds and Casey DeSantis on a debate stage, Byron Donalds is going to make her look like a fool.
Well, that's not fair. It's a coughing baby and a hydrogen bomb. It's not comparable.
It's not comparable. It's not. So, Ron DeSantis, be a good boy. Okay? Be a good boy. And endorse Byron Donalds. He's the only one that's announced. He's the only one that's official. In fact, Casey DeSantis has not said she's going to run. But Ron DeSantis is trying to push her to run. He's like, do it, please. She has not said that she wants to run. She may be in bed at night. They have talks, and she says, babe, I love this place, the governor's mansion. I want to stay here a little longer. Maybe I might run just so we can stay in this bed a little longer. Maybe. I don't really know. But do the people of Florida want you there? with the little water boots on. Have you seen that picture?
No, I haven't.
Of him in his water boots.
I have seen him in those height extensions, though.
You can't say that.
Oh, I can't say that on the air?
You can't say that on the air.
Oh, man.
No, you can't say that. But he had his little rain boots on. He had his little white rain boots on. They came up to his knees, and they was tight. You ever seen tight rain boots?
I have the pleasure of not having seen tight rain boots.
Okay, well, Ron DeSantis had on his knee-high white tight rain boots. He had tighty whitey rain boots on, folks.
How were the heels?
We don't know. We don't know because we was too focused on why the boots was tight and on his knees.
Hey, does he at least have strong calves? No.
He's a short little meatball man. Meatball Ron is what we call him. Meatball Ron. And he can't seem to get it together.
Doesn't seem so. Is this the end of the DeSantis legacy? What is it? 5 years was all it took for him to go from
so ready for it to be over.
Prospective possible candidate and then boom.
He was overhyped. Like you said,
Yeah, he was going to be Trump's next, basically. What's the word?
Right-hand man. He was the next Trump.
He was the next Trump, yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the way he handled COVID, the way he pretty much tried to be there with Trump. But the second he thought he could get power for himself, he threw that all away.
He didn't want to wait his turn. He jumped the gun. And, the Trump-DeSantis train was big.
Yeah.
Everyone thought Ron DeSantis for vice president. They wanted it. I'm like, it wouldn't have been that bad. Now I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm so glad you didn't do it.
Because that's the thing right now. Neither party really has any good candidates for 2028. And no big names. Nothing.
The Republicans got some candidates.
Not big names, though. Nothing like Trump.
JDO. Well, there will never be anything
And Vance
like Trump.
won't. I doubt Vance would run 28.
There will never be another Trump. Trump is to the Republicans what Barack Obama was to the Democrats.
But I mean, look at Joe Biden.
And we're not getting
he had
another
name
one of
recognition.
those.
Look at Bernie Sanders' name recognition. These are big people who would run and actually get large support.
Bernie Sanders will never be president of the United States.
He's too old. He's not running anymore.
At not running. The Democrats, they might throw Kamala Harris up there, Gavin Newsom up there.
Well, Harris is done. She's at home drinking some wine right now.
I think she may run for president again.
I doubt it.
I think she will.
I think it's the same thing happened with Hillary. Do it once, you lose so badly, you don't do it again.
I would hope so.
I mean,
I don't have a problem with that. If she never wants to run again, then
say what you will about.
If she never wants to get into politics again, I'm okay with that.
Say what you will about Harris, but you can't lie. Her ego does not compare to Hillary's.
I disagree.
No, I would say
Harris, you haven't seen what Kamala Harris is doing here lately. He's parading around in these all black suits, talking about. I don't think we fight against something. I think we're fighting for something. Now I'm like, hush. Her and these quotes, they're
my favorite one. Me too. Pokemon Go to the polls.
That's Hillary Clinton. We love Hillary Clinton. My favorite female presidential candidate quote is unburdened by what has been, burdened by what is.
So here's the funny thing.
And I'm like, what?
Here's the funny thing. Hillary and Kamala both did this, and this isn't the reason they lost. They lost because they're bad candidates, but they both before the election say, like on their birthdays or big holiday, they say, "Happy X holiday, happy birthday to future
Miss President,
yep.
future Miss President." Yeah, I saw that, and it's like. That really hurts.
Like whenever Kamala did, I'm like, she said it. She said the line. It's done. It's done. We have nothing to worry about anymore.
Do they delete that after, or like when you lose, do you just go edit it and say happy birthday?
The Kamala one I think was done by her campaign and not her directly, so that one's a lot easier to get rid of. But the Hillary Clinton one was posted on her main account.
Yeah, do you just go back and just let me delete this because I'm not a future president?
Yeah, but I think she still has it out, which is I want to go look at it. I want to see the replies on it.
She's a dreamer, man.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to with a husband like that.
Literally. Casey DeSantis is next, folks. She's going to say happy birthday to the next governor of Florida. And Byron Donalds is going to win because he's got the Trump endorsement. Ron DeSantis does not win without the Trump endorsement. Anyone else wins without the Ron DeSantis endorsement. Ron DeSantis thinks that he's bigger than he actually is. And his argument was Byron Donalds has been campaigning in other states. He hasn't been in Florida. He doesn't know the problems of the Floridians. He's a congressman in Florida. I think if anybody knows the problem with the constituents, it's the man who has to deal with them day by day by day by day by day, going into his community, going into his district, and trying to figure out what's wrong with the people and what they want to see different on both the state and federal level.
Yep.
So, I mean, like, come on.
Well, I'll tell you what. Next week, we should have a lot of great things to talk about just because of all the things we're waiting on right now. But
yeah, it's like a waiting period. I hope Casey DeSantis announces she's running.
I'm just saying.
And I hope they have a debate.
If you really think about it, we were waiting on Cash Patel to get confirmed for the past few shows.
It happened like right after we left. We walked out and they were like, all right.
Watch it. We like walk out today and like, what is it? 1 minute. And then boom, Epstein files dropped and we're just reading them on the way back to campus.
No redactions. Let the people see what happened, folks. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Let's see what happens with the Epstein files.
Yes,
let's
sir.
be honest. Let's be open. Let's be honest. Because we already ain't got no tax on tips. So let's just be honest with ourselves and everybody. Let's see what we got. What we looking like on seconds. Oh yeah, we got about 30 seconds, folks. We got about a lot of time. We could have a whole nother topic if we really wanted to in 30 seconds.
So true.
Because Porsche is outside.
Don't worry, I got some Aristotle books for you in said
I don't
Porsche
want them.
car.
Does Aristotle pronounce Porsche as Porsche?
I don't know.
He says Porsche. I know. You know who doesn't say Porsche? Socrates. He says Porsche because that's the correct grammatical. That's correct. Folks, thank you for stepping into the Patriots DNA Radio Dabang Mike Khan production presentation where we say Porsche because that's what it's called, not Porsche. Learn something, folks.
I disagree.
Learn something. No, it's not about what you agree or disagree with. It's about what the creator of the vehicle said, and they said Porsche.
The people say Porsche.
It's not about what the people say. No one cares what the people say. If people cared what the people said, then the Epstein files would have been dropped yesterday, but they weren't. So
New administration, the people are on top.
Elon Musk calls it Porsche. Folks, we're out of time. We got to go. We got to get out of here. Thank you for tuning in to the Patriots Den live from Houston, Texas. I am your host, Patrick Pruden, and I'm here with my amazing co-host,
Brian Fuentes.
Yes, sir. We thank y'all for tuning in. We're going to have some kazoo music play while we walk out. How about it? All right, y'all. We will see y'all next week. Same place, same time.